Hey now, welcome back to the New Teacher Institute for class number 5. I hope you had an awesome and restful winter break. I know coming back from the long break can be tough, not just for the students, but for us as well. We all get tired, we get used to resting and sleeping in more. So I appreciate that you're here and are back to continue working on becoming a better teacher through this course. Today's session will focus on teaching ideologies. So let's go over our objectives for today as usual. Today, our objectives will be to understand what teaching ideologies are, the major categories of them, and how they can guide your teaching practice. You'll also be able to discover your own style or styles that best fit you in the classroom. And then you'll reflect on what you learned about your style and how you can use it for the rest of the school year. As I mentioned, we're just coming back from break, so I'm going to keep it short and simple this time around. You don't have to do a video or turn in anything else like that. You're just going to learn about the styles and reflect on your own teaching. And hopefully that'll be a lot easier now that you've had some reflection practice already from the previous classes and the videos you turned in. So what are curriculum ideologies or teaching ideologies? What they are is simply a system of beliefs. They shape how we teach. They influence what we prioritize in our lessons, how we interact with the students, and how we measure success. And one important note that I want you to remember throughout this entire lesson is that every teacher, including you, including me, has at least one of these ideologies that we'll talk about, but it's also very common to find yourself identifying with more than one of them. At the end of this lesson, you'll fill out a reflective survey to help you discover yours, which ideology best fits you or mixture to be in your classroom right now. And why does this matter? The point of teaching you these ideologies is not for you to label yourself or put yourself into a box. The point is to grow awareness about yourself so you can figure out why some decisions you make in the classroom feel natural while others feel forced. So why do these matter? Knowing this matters more than you may think. Knowing which style aligns with your belief will help you with your lesson planning as well, so you can also focus on teaching the content that you want to teach or the most important to you and exciting for you. Yes, we have our course outlines, our curriculum standards that need to be met for the students to pass, but those are just the broad strokes. The actual flow of the class and the specific content for the day-to-day structure is entirely up to you. And it's best to do it in a style that feels natural to you to help prevent burnout. In my classroom of graphic arts and digital media, there are certain standards and categories that I need to teach, like Photoshop and photography, but I get to decide on how I want to teach those topics based on my style. I could choose to have the students read a textbook or complete quizzes about photography, or I could give them live demos, hands-on practice, and let them complete projects, or some kind of combination of all of those things. It's completely up to me on how I want to run my classroom, and you can do the same thing in your class. You can do whichever feels more comfortable to you as a teacher. And knowing this helps you understand why all teachers are different and why no two classrooms are the same, even if you teach the same subject. One of my favorite parts of my job now is visiting all of your different classrooms and seeing how each of you runs your lessons differently. Each one of you does it slightly different, and that works for you, which is great because the most important thing is that you and your students are learning and are comfortable. So these are the 4 major types of curriculum ideologies that we'll talk about today. I'll briefly talk about each one, and as you're listening to the explanation, don't overthink it, just reflect on which points seem to resonate with you the most. The first one is scholar academic. In this style, the teacher tends to think of themselves as a subject matter expert or specialist. They care about discipline-specific knowledge and doing things the, quote, right way in the field. For example, in an engineering class, this might look like focusing on certain math concepts, formulas, design principles, and really drilling those in before students actually complete any projects. In this style, these students learn best through structure, rigorous lessons, and mastery of the skills and the knowledge. Another example may be in a sports medicine or health class. This might mean spending more time learning about anatomy, terminology, and body systems. And it makes more sense that the students have a very firm understanding of these before doing any hands-on practice. The overall goal of this style is to preserve the knowledge of the subject matter itself, not just doing things for the sake of doing them. In my photography class, I wouldn't just teach the students about camera basics, but I would also focus on structured organization systems like file management on their computers. Without really knowing how to save their files properly and right formats, they wouldn't be able to complete their projects, or they'd have to spend a lot of time searching for files. If you resonate with an ideology like this, that means you value structure, accuracy, and intellect, which are all huge strengths. Knowledge sticks best when students can use it effectively and not just hear about it. The next ideology is social efficiency. In this style, the teacher tends to think of themselves more as a manager or a trainer. This style may feel more natural to you as a CTE teacher because this focuses on preparing our students to have practical roles in society. You may focus more on real-world skills to get a job, such as prepping a resume or a job interview. In automotive tech, this can mean something like focusing your lessons on certain shop procedures that most businesses follow, or obtaining a certification of some kind that will allow them to apply for a job. In culinary or other similar ones, it might mean you spend time on students understanding things like safety, efficiency, and time management, actual practical skills that a hiring manager would look for in an employee. In my class, I focused on making sure the students understood time management with deadlines and timelines. Time management is a huge deal in all of our fields because you'll lose business if you don't have a good structure and get your project to your client on time. It's not just teaching them school habits, but job habits as well. Remember, the goal of this ideology is to help the students become productive, capable citizens in our society. And if this resonates with you, that means you like clear objectives and systems that helps the students stay on track. This doesn't mean you're being rigid. It just means that you're preparing them for what comes next after high school. The next ideology is learner-centered. In this style, the teacher tends to think of themselves more as a facilitator or a guide to the students as opposed to a manager. This style is all about student voice and creating a personal connection to the learning. While you're still the teacher in the classroom and the students need to focus on learning the knowledge, with this ideology, you tend to give the students more choice in the matter on what they do. This helps strengthen the students' connection to learning the content when they get to have more of a say in what they're doing. Like in cosmetology, maybe you let the students decide on what kind of hairstyles they'd want to focus on if they were going to open up their own salon. Or in culinary, you can have them decide if they were to have their own restaurant, what kind of menu they would select. This style tends to thrive in fields that are more creative arts, but it can be utilized in any of our CTE pathways. In automotive tech, you could give the students options on projects based on the type of vehicle or the type of system that interests them the most. This style is where my classroom lived most of the time. I really don't care for worksheets or tests that much. I like big projects where the students get to choose their topic. I even gave them a choice on how they wanted to complete their final project. In my class, we would end our semester on video production, and the final project, I would have the students choose one of three options. There was an editing project they could do by themselves, there was a promo video they can create with a partner, and there was a big project where they'd reshoot a scene from a movie and they'd have to work in a group. Every option for the project took roughly the same amount of time, but required different skills that they learned throughout the semester. And it gave the students a choice in how they wanted to work, so everyone still participated. When I first started teaching, I made the final project the one group project, but then I learned that that was challenging for students who just didn't like group projects. So instead of forcing them to do it, I started giving them a choice, and I found that to be much more effective, and that they can work solo if they really wanted to, and other groups of friends could still do the fun group movie scene together if they wanted to as well. And I found out that it started working out a lot better that way. So remember, the goal of this style is to create confident, creative, and independent learners. Even though your classroom should still be structured and organized, the output from the students is creative and personal, which helps them have more fun and participate in the learning. The last ideology of the Big Four is social reconstruction. In this style, the teacher tends to think of themselves more as a mentor or an advocate. This is where the teacher focuses on helping the students understand and impact the world around them. The learning connects them to real-world issues, similar to the social efficiency one, but not just to be a member of society, but to help create change. This doesn't mean that they always have to be some kind of activist, but how can they use the skills they learn in your classroom to make a positive impact in the world? Maybe in career exploration, you could help the students examine what equity means and how people can have access to careers and opportunities. In a digital media course like mine, students can design, post, or create videos that communicate messages that matter to their school or their community. I always would share in my class how I would use my photo and video skills to work with a lot of nonprofits, because that's what I care about. I love sharing their messages and supporting their causes. And my media helped them in those areas because that was important to me. And I encourage my students to do the same. Use their storytelling skills to promote things that interest them and help improve their communities or organizations that they care about. And this style doesn't mean that your class always has to be really heavy or political. It just means helping the students see that their skills can do something beyond the classroom and have a greater impact than they may realize. So these are the 4 main styles of curriculum ideologies. All of them are important in the classroom, but they all have slightly different areas of focus, as well as how the teacher views themselves and their role in the classroom. A key thing to remember is not one of these styles is better than the others. Strong teachers often blend multiple approaches depending on the lesson. I gave you several examples of each one of how my lesson can fall into every single one of these categories depending on how I wanted to run it. The most important thing is that I get to choose what I want to do according to what resonates best with me. And as I explained these, there may have been multiple points about each one that may have resonated with you. The key when thinking about your style is to do what feels natural. If you're like me, maybe you really don't like doing reading or tests, and you want to focus on letting the students create projects or discover how they can create change in their community. But also maybe you do like taking tests, or maybe you find that that's just easier for you with grading and staying organized, and that just makes you feel more confident and natural. Then do it that way. Either way is fine. The point is that you need to be in line with your beliefs and philosophies, which is the key to success in the classroom and becoming a great teacher. So to discover your style, you'll fill out the Google Forms survey after watching this video. And to do that, you're already completing step 1 right now, which is to watch the video right now and understand the major ideologies. After you complete this video, you'll fill out the form and discover which ideology or version of or multiple ideologies will fit you best. And as you answer the questions, make sure that you answer truthfully. A common problem with personality surveys and tests is that we try to answer based on what we think is, quote, correct, or how we feel we're supposed to answer. But that's not the case. There are no right or wrong answers. Just be yourself. It's about reflection. After that, you'll get to write and reflect on your results and how this knowledge will serve and support you for the rest of the school year and beyond. So let me show you what I mean right now as we fill this out. So when you go to the lesson, you'll see that you have this Google form attached right here. When you click on the form, it's a simple survey, no questions you need to study for. As you go through each section, you'll just rate the statement on strongly disagree or strongly agree. So it says the statement right here, and you'll just rate how you feel about each one as you read it. And then at the end of each section, it just tells you to add up your score to see how many points you got for that particular category. So if I add these numbers up right here, 3, 5, 3, 4, 5, I get 20. So my total for this particular one is 20. And remember, you're not going for the highest, you're just getting whichever one truthfully resonates with you before you move on to the next one. And then the next section will be the same thing as we talk about the 4 ideologies that I just mentioned. And the last section of the survey will have you reflect on what you learned. Okay, now let's go back to this real quick as we finish up. Okay, so remember, as you're doing this, it's not about labels, it's just about awareness of yourself. The same thing we've been practicing in the past few classes. You're always evolving. Just because you have a style now doesn't mean you're always going to have it be that way. As you grow and you're like your students do, your styles may shift and change as well. And we do this because reflective teachers are effective teachers. The greatest teachers are the ones who can stay true to themselves, but also know how to improve and grow. Okay, last slide. As we wrap up, let's talk about what you'll need to complete. As I mentioned, I know we just got back from break. I don't want to add too much to your plate that you already have, so I want to keep it light. All you have to do for this class is complete that reflection survey that's attached to the assignment that I just showed you how to do. Right after you complete this video, fill out that survey. It shouldn't take you more than a few minutes. But as you do that, and once you complete it, take that knowledge for yourself and use it to prep for the next semester and the rest of the year. Use it to help update your syllabus and your lesson plans. How can you tap into your style and make learning more fun and impactful for your students this time around? Okay, keep working hard. Our next class session is scheduled to be on Tuesday, February 10th. Hopefully, I will be back from my leave by then and we can be in person together. But if anything comes up, I, of course, will let you know. Okay, thanks for watching. Take care. Happy New Year and have fun. I'll see you next time.